Right now, for more on the growth of mixed martial arts in South Africa and the continent in general, we're now joined by Mark Joubert, who's a sports commentator. He joins us live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Mark, thank you for joining us. Dricus, as we saw a week ago, has managed to defend his middleweight title against the much-fancied Israel Adesanya. What does his victory now mean for the Rainbow Nation? And could we now be close to seeing a UFC card in South Africa or on the continent soon?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on your program. I think first off, it would be, we have to say that it could mean a heck of a lot, especially if the sport can leverage off of the excitement and the hype that this has caused. First of all, him winning the title in January and now defending it a couple of weeks ago. But it's going to be down to the relevant administrators to maintain that excitement and to maintain that hype. I say that because many people last year were talking about the fact that it would mean so much if Dricus were to win the title. And that happened in January. And I suppose the first question is have we really seen any major uptick in the sport? And let's talk here in South Africa. I haven't yet seen any major increase in the number of gyms opening or the number of youngsters that are flooding into gyms. I think we need to acknowledge that the sport is hard. It takes a lot of time to develop the skills needed to become the next Dricus du Plessis. And speaking to a number of gym owners in the last week, the fact remains that many of these gyms are losing youngsters to just general life. They're losing it to schoolwork, and they're losing it to other sports. What this victory will mean. Yes, there's been a lot of hype. Media has been a buzz about Dricus, but are we seeing it filter down into the next level of talent? We're going to have to wait and see.
Right.
We have to remember, Dricus is a second-generation MMA fighter. The first-generation fighters all had to transition from a karate or a taekwondo or a Muay Thai. He's literally started out, and this next generation of kids is starting out as MMA fighters. So that's going to be, for me, the telling impact. And one of those signs, if you look at the recent IMAF Youth World Championships, we had a youngster that came home with a gold medal. Now that's already starting to tell me that the tide is turning, but it's turning a little bit too slowly, in my opinion.
Right. Mark, let me just jump in here and ask you about the rise of MMA, not only on the continent, but also in regards to another sport that's maybe seeing a decline, that's boxing here on the African continent. Maybe what can boxing learn then from mixed martial arts?
I don't think there's anything that boxing per se can learn from MMA. I think we must first of all acknowledge that MMA's growth has been off the back of an incredibly successful UFC. I mean, that is a marketing machine like we've never seen before in sport. And we've got the PFL. And obviously we've got the EFC here in South Africa. I mean, boxing's been around for a very, very long time. And I suppose we would say that boxing hasn't really had the shine for a very long time, but it's coming back. Just look at the heavyweight division nowadays. A lot of talk about the heavyweight division. You just mentioned it in your intro with regards to Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. We mustn't discount the fact that, sport goes through cycles, but we also mustn't discount the impact of influencer boxing. So in a way, I suppose there is a lesson where boxing is evolving with this advent of influencer boxing, but there's a reality. How many, and I suppose the question is, how many MMA fighters are suddenly moving towards boxing? So are there really lessons to be learnt out of boxing that MMA can take? Or is this just a scenario of money? Money talks, so that's where all the fighters are going.
All right, Mark, we will keep you on the line for more discussion in just a bit. For now, before we wrap up our discussion on the tremendous growth of MMA in Africa, let's take a look at some of the top African fighters that have taken the sport by storm globally in the past few years.